Yo guys, here is a fake designer speaking to you and welcome back to this new video. So in the last video of this kind here on the channel, we dealt with the designing process of the Apple car. So we went through the tech world and we used sharp lines and futuristic lines. But today I want to come back to the present, or maybe I will say to the past, because for today's project I want to work with probably the iconic luxury car brand. So I'm talking about Rolls-Royce, and I have some interesting ideas in mind, so let's get started. Okay, so as always, let's first move on net and try to find some interesting images and ideas about the Rolls-Royce, so in order to get into the mood of the brand. So let's see what we find online. The point is that if I were to locate the main key design solution of the brand, I would definitely consider the huge and long hood as one of them. So what I'm saying is that we can recognize this long hood feature in each Rolls-Royce models. So we have the Ghost, the Phantom, the recent SUV model. And yeah, this is a first aspect that I want definitely to keep in mind. A second aspect that I think is still important is the long step that we have between the two wheels axes. So for example, considering this image right here, we can appreciate this long step between the front wheels axis and the rear wheels axis. And this is actually the main reason why we tend to thinking about a limousine or a luxury car while thinking about Rolls-Royce, because generally speaking, Rolls-Royce design long vehicle, long cars. And a third aspect that I want to underline is, of course, the front grid that is a kind of signature of Rolls-Royce, and it's a common design feature of each Rolls-Royce model. So, for example, here we have the iconic front grid, and of course it has this kind of powerful design, and it develops vertically, and it ends or starts, depending on the viewpoint, with the iconic angel statue that again is a signature of the brand on its own product. And so these were three interesting feature and aspect that I want to keep in mind, and I want to keep in this possible new Rolls-Royce project. And now let's move and let's discuss briefly the fake storming document. And if you haven't already known what a fake storming document is, you better watch the first video of this kind here on the channel. It was about Ferrari, and there I explained what a fake storming document is. So I put the link of the video somewhere here. And now let's move to the fake storming document. Okay, so before I discuss the fake storming documents ideas, I want to clarify an important issue. And in my opinion, being innovative and figure out an innovative concept doesn't necessarily mean to follow the present and nowadays trend by, highlighting and putting the stress in cutting edge lines and futuristic shapes. And what I'm saying is that an important thing to keep in mind while designing a new car, a new concept, is to preserve the brand's identity. And if each brand starts to follow the same path, the same trend of other companies, and it is actually what is happening today, you risk to destroy your identity, you risk to destroy your brand's identity. And of course, as you can easily imagine, this is such a pity, because in the end you have like a Mercedes that is very similar to a BMW, that is similar to a Volkswagen, and it's a pity because all these cars belongs to totally different brands with different cultures and visions and stories. And I'm saying that because, as you will see in this video in a few minutes, for the project of today, for this possible new Rolls-Royce, I develop and I figure out a concept that is closer to an ancient designing trend rather than a futuristic trend. So this is basically the idea. Anyway, let's discuss briefly the key points. So luxury, of course, talking about Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce is the luxury car company. And then we have the key point frac. So it's a funny key point, because with frac I mean the typical usual cloth that rich people and noblemen are used to wear. So with this I mean that with this concept, with this car, I want to create a bound between the dress and the car of the customer. So I want to the design of this Rolls-Royce is strongly linked to the design of the frac cloth. And anyway, you will get the idea better in a few seconds. Then as a reference models I put the Rolls-Royce Phantom. Of course is an iconic Rolls-Royce model, as Rolls-Royce design a lot of different generations of the Phantom. Then let's move to the side view, and here it is. And now you understand why I put the frac as a key point, because you can appreciate here this kind of long tail effect. So this is the side view. As you can see here, we have a lot of things that makes us reminds to the Rolls-Royce design. So the long hood, the long step between the two wheels axes, and all these things. But of course we have a lot of innovative and different designing solutions. So we have this front part that is actually strange but interesting, and you will understand it better in the rendering part and in the sketching part. And yeah, this is the side view. Then we have the front view. So of course we have the canonic front grid, and we have this straight and narrow headlight that are quite futuristic, if we want to call them with their name. And yeah, so this is the front view, and in the end we have the rear view. Yeah, not so much to say about it. And as you can see here, I put the typical and usual rear light of Rolls-Royce model. So saying that, these are the basic ideas of the project, and now enjoy the time-lapse video of the sketching. Okay, so you have just seen the sketching process and hope you like the sketch, and now let's render it. So here we are in our sketchbook window. So let's discuss briefly all the layers, and for this project in particular we have no background, and I know it's a pity, but it's not that important because we are more interested in the vehicle itself rather than in the background, rather than in the context around. So the first layer is the shadow, of course, then we have the sketch, then we have the base color. So for this Rolls-Royce I decided to put this dark blue base color because in the end, as you will see, it has an interesting effect on the surface of the vehicle. So then we have the wheels, and then we have these the reflection of the wheels on the ground. Then we have the rims, so the iconic Rolls-Royce rims, and then we have these little details and the cabin, of course, so the 4 seats and the drive wheel and all the other details. And then we have the other details actually and then we have the first layer of the glass, and then we have the second layer of the glass, and then we have this layer that is such an important layer in this project because we are talking about Rolls-Royce, we are talking about the luxury brand, car company, the luxury brand. And so I don't know how to describe them in English, but this layer is about all the details made of metallic alloy and this kind of material, and they are so important in a Rolls-Royce or in any kind of car because these details enhance the luxury of the car and of the concept. So then we have the front grid, and here it is with this powerful design with these 5 vertical lines and all the details. Then we have the first shadow layer and the first light layer, and then we have the headlight and the light of the headlight, and then we have the most important layer of this sketching. So we are talking about the light layer, so all the light reflections on the surface of the vehicle, so important. And in the same way we have the shadow layer. Of course, here we can appreciate more the light rather than the shadow because we are considering a dark base color. Anyway, let's move to the 8th layer. So these are the final details of the lateral doors and of the hood. And last but not least, the layer about the name. So we have the censure, FP stands for fake designer, and we have the angel statue, we have the logo, and we have the name of the car. So for this car I decided to call it Rolls-Royce Golden Age, and it's a funny name, and I think that generally speaking the car, the concept, the design refers to like the 19th century that has been like a beautiful century for England. Now let's modify it, let's modify the sketch and the rendering a bit. So let's move to the photo modifier and modify it. I want only to adjust some parameters, some values. So let's put some darkness, and this should be good. And let's enhance the contrast between light and the shadow, and let's add the poster effect and save a copy. And this is it, guys. This is today's project. This is how, in my opinion, in my perspective, the new Rolls-Royce could be. So as always, let me know in a comment below what you think about this project. Let me know if you like it, if you don't, why and why not. And wish you the best, and this was everything from a fake designer. Io, sapevi che ho anche un canale in italiano? Beh, ora lo sai. Il suo nome è The Fake Designer Ita e in pratica carico gli stessi video che carico qui, ma parlo in italiano, quindi in modo un po' più fluente e analizzando anche un po' più nel dettaglio i miei pensieri e le mie idee. Quindi, se sei interessato, facci un salto e niente, ti lascio il link nella descrizione qui sotto.